last week we did talk about thought leader ads a little bit. We kind of introduced that it was a new thing that LinkedIn has available now. So, getting a little bit more into our second and third weeks of having thought leader ads available, what kind of best practices have you discovered with running those?
Just a couple of quick things that I've noticed so far is the first one is apparently you have to have LinkedIn Audience Network turned off for it to even be an option. Second, your company has to have made at least one post for this to be an option. Otherwise, it'll say no content is visible, even though you're not trying to find a company post. Just sponsored in general isn't available. And the third quick one is that the only ad objectives this is available for right now is engagement and awareness. I would typically use awareness more for the cold and engagement more for the retargeting, but currently that's the only way that you can have it. So you have to have engagement or brand awareness. You have to turn off LinkedIn Audience Network, and your company page has to have made a post. Those are the first couple of things of just things to have in place for this to even be an option for people. So I guess that'd be the first thing I'd mention.
Yeah. And then I wanted to go deeper into the two different objectives that they have available for thought leader ads. So, brand awareness and engagement. What really is the difference between those two objectives and like how that impacts the audience that we're going to reach with these ads?
So brand awareness, it's different with the way that that you bid or pay for it, and also how people interact with it. So brand awareness, kind of like it sounds, it's getting it on people's feeds. You're paying based on CPM, so you're more paying just for the exposure. And the idea is that, yeah, obviously if it's good content and it's quality, that if it's placed on there and they see it, that they'll, engage, but you're not paying per click or per interaction or anything like that. So I think brand awareness is better for the cold layer. For the engagement, I think it's better for retargeting. And the big difference is you are paying cost per click. Any interaction, I think, counts as a click in those kind of ads. But engagement objective actually adds a follow call to action to the post, which I think is actually pretty good. I need to check mine. I think I might be running awareness in both. I need to switch. If I'm not running engagement and retargeting, I would switch that. And I'd probably A/B test, like in the same post, engagement versus awareness and cold, because I just don't think there's enough data out there. So I don't think me or anyone else can come on and say definitively, like, this type is better or this type works here. We have our theories. We're currently testing them, and so we can share that.
Yeah. So essentially, brand awareness is just getting the content out and you're paying in order to guarantee that distribution essentially. And then engagement is a more of the typical, cost per click payment. It has the follow CTA. So if you're trying to encourage people to maybe follow the thought leader that you're posting these ads for, that would be a great option for them too. But so as anything, running an A/B test is always a good way to figure out what's going to work best for you.
Yeah, and just testing. And so my first initial thought is that the exact same content, if it's text and image, the exact same ad coming from an individual versus coming from a company page, the individual one will have better results every time. So I would just test, like, if you have single image campaigns currently from your company page, I would test getting those same assets posted from a leader in your company. The higher up, the better. The CEO, founder, DMO usually would be great. And then sponsor those and then split the budget and just run those side by side. I bet, you start to get better results from the personal posts. The one thing I would say is they don't have like headlines and CTA buttons. So it's these clicks, these interactions, this would be more for in-feed consumption. So it shouldn't be your whole strategy, because then you're not gonna see traffic going to your website. You're not going to be getting as many, form fills on your actual landing page. You can go back and edit these posts and add in links to the text. And because it's a personal post, you get a lot more space for copy than you do for ads. So I do think there's a give and take. It's not as straight like funnel-y as call to action landing page. It's more consumption in feed. The post needs to probably be valuable, but you can actually add links in there or in comment section to kind of steer people in the direction you want.
Yeah. So it feels very in line with the demand generation strategy of, you have a lot more space to share the value that you are kind of expected to share. And it's coming from somebody who is an expert in their field. So it lends really well to that kind of demand gen strategy of sharing value and encouraging those kind of inbound leads based on the expertise that you're freely sharing online.
Yeah, and I would say that's a good point. So the demand gen kind of like mindset or strategy, like if you're approaching this kind of ad type with that kind of strategy thought process, I think you'll be off, because some of the things you could do, like creative things, would be you have employees in your, instead of running an ad that says, hey, Impactable is a great place to work, we have a great culture, our team loves us, we do great results for our clients, you can actually have your staff, your leaders, visible people make posts that say as much, and then you could sponsor those posts. And the experience for the prospect is so different. It's one thing for me, for the company, to run ads that look like ads that tell them how cool we are and how much our people love us and how much our clients love us. It's another thing for us to like sponsor posts from actual employees talking about how much they love Impactable, how much they love working with clients, how they got a client some big win, how our company just got recognized. It's a completely different journey when those are how prospects are learning about our company from our people, versus like just from ads, like ads. Because I think the way these influencer ads or thought leader ads show up on the feed, most people are not going to know their ads. It's actually pretty well disguised that they're promoted ads. So I think you're getting these ideas kind of embedded in prospects' minds without them ever knowing they're actually being advertised to, which is sneaky.
Yeah, I love the sneaky advertising. Always works really well. I know we've done like in the past, we've done something similar where we've used like screenshots of organic content and shared those as ads to kind of do that sneaky advertising. But now LinkedIn is kind of giving us a new way to do it.
Yeah, and that was the whole idea behind. So I started that trend 2 years ago. I think I was the first one to do that, and some big companies like Cognizant started doing that, and some of the other trendier ones. But yeah, the whole idea was that you also just want to advertise and get thoughts in front of people in the way they like to consume. And most people, like, giving the exact same post from a human being and then from a company, they'd rather just naturally, like, they put up their defenses when it's from the company, and they're more inclined to read it from the person. And then if that personal post already has 100 likes and 50 comments, they're even more inclined to read it. So you actually can go back and grab your best performing posts and sponsor them, and it makes them evergreen, which is really nice because you could use that as cold or you could use it as retargeting. So for example, with the employees praising the company and client experience, like that would probably work well as retargeting. So they visit your website, maybe it was a Google ad that got them, and then they log into LinkedIn, and unknowingly to them, they're getting retargeted. And it's just all of your different employees or leaders talking about like these different things, and they're learning about you, but they don't know they're being advertised to. The other really sneaky strategy that I thought would be really nice is someone could be connected to your company page as an advisor or like a strategic partner. For example, let's say we partner with an email marketing agency or a Facebook agency. Now, it could be really beneficial if they like refer people to us, or if they just publicly say Impactable is the best LinkedIn ads agency. Now, I could get them to say that. I could make a little image and I can create an ad saying that they recommend us, and that works. That actually has always been part of our strategy to do stuff like that. But imagine how much more effective if I just get them to attach themselves to my company page, make a personal post with a glowing recommendation, and then we sponsor that post. And it's part of our retargeting strategy. We do that with them and 3 or 4 other people. And again, people are logging into LinkedIn and they're seeing these other businesses recommend a LinkedIn ads agency. I guess eventually they might have to make that a little more noticeable, because that seems like probably like a cheat code. I imagine that would be very, very effective. I definitely want to try that soon.
Almost like social proof straight from the source.
Yeah. I'm really going to try that with like 4 or 5 people with like complementary B2B service providers, and do like recommendation posts, like partnership posts, and then get those sponsored and see how that goes. That would be fun.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how those perform too, since it's not necessarily coming from somebody who's directly attached to the company, but who's definitely benefited from services that we offer. I think having that social proof is definitely going to be pretty valuable to have. There's one more thing that you were starting to touch on here, which is sponsoring posts that already have a bit of activity or engagement on them. So when kind of choosing the content and which thought leaders whose posts you want to sponsor, in terms of like using thought leader ads, I think we've talked about this a little bit in the past, but would you say it's important to tap into people who are maybe already active on LinkedIn and who have already built a bit of a network and built up some engagement on their content, rather than, I'm going to create a post specifically for this purpose, and then I'm going to post it and immediately sponsor it as a thought leader ad?
Yeah. So In a perfect world, you would have someone in the company who is active on LinkedIn, who does have a following, whose posts do have engagement. And the additional bonus would be, and those posts have created inbound leads. And then what you'd want to do is you'd actually want to go back through that person's post and you would want to sponsor not the most popular posts, but the posts that you know have generated inbound leads. And usually it's case studies, examples, personal experience, some situation, some, realistic, real numbers, transparency. And it's those kind of posts that show actual like thought leadership, actual expertise that have actually generated inbound leads. Those would be the best to post. Now, if you don't have that, you're like, I guess this isn't going to be great for me. Like I said at the beginning, even if you have nothing else, I guarantee like it's worth trying just compared to your normal like single image ads. I would bet that you're going to get good results. What we're saying is by default, it should be better, but there are circumstances where you should be really, really excited to try it. And if you don't have someone who's been active, the next best scenario would probably be someone, just your leadership as far up the chain as you can go, who's willing to, give access to their account and do this. I would say, yeah, make a post, maybe get the other people in the company to actually engage and boost that post as much as you can organically, and then get the ad spend behind it to kind of push it the rest of the way. So you're not starting from zero, that would be ideal. But then to really do it effectively, that person would also need to ideally be making posts consistently, because part of this would be people are going to start following them. If the only 5 posts they ever had were posts that they intended to then sponsor, it's not going to be as effective as it could be.
Yeah. So it is really important that even if, you're creating content specifically for the thought leader ads, you still want to be creating some organic content, giving people something to get back to, because they're inevitably going to be led to that page from the ads anyways. So it's really good to
kind of like that. It's kind of like the company page. Like if we had someone running ads and they had never in their life made a company page post, like, it's not like an absolute requirement, but I don't know what the quantifiable difference is, but I can guarantee there's a lift in results if that company page was just halfway active, if it didn't look like a completely dead company. And the same with the personal page, it would be nice. I'm sure that you could still get results, but it would definitely be better if you could have more consistency.
Yeah. Consistent posting, showing activity. These are all kind of things that we all know are important in marketing anyways, but are probably going to be really highlighted by having those ads that direct back to these pages.
Yeah. So ultimately, the influencer ads and thought leader ads, I think it's a great tool, new tool in the demand gen playbook. There's going to be a ton of creative strategies around this that haven't even been thought of yet. But if nothing else, I honestly think that there's a 90% of LinkedIn ad campaigns. I do think there's going to be a space for influence ads. It shouldn't be a huge dominating. I'm not saying it should be all you switch to. It should be an element that gets worked into most campaigns. And I would say almost all campaigns could benefit from having a thought leader type ad somewhere in their framework or structure. I really don't see a case where it just completely wouldn't make sense to even try for a company. It's definitely something they should think about, consider, and maybe make some effort to make it a stab at.
Definitely.